Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of 3 Live Canes. As you guys know, we were out last week. The flu running through. Somehow all of us, I don't know, but I know I was out for sure. My whole family was knocked out with the flu. And when I go down, it like topples the whole tower. I'm like one of those bottom Jenga blocks. Like when you take me out, like it's very hard to keep that thing steady and rolling on. The other guys are way at the top. You guys are like the showpieces that everybody sees. But I'm that stability piece at the bottom. So once that thing went out, the whole thing came crashing down. So we apologize to all of you guys that were excited to see the show. But luckily, the flu is a temporary thing, much like Miami not having a quarterback solution for the 2025 season, much like Miami not having a DB coach ready to go that could play at the highest level, much like us not having a schedule for next year to talk about. So all that stuff is gone. And we are back here to talk to you guys about Miami football. Fired up this week. We're fired up this week. Bill, how you doing? I expect you to be fired up.
I, too, am quite fired up on this.
Good. Shiva, how we doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I mean, you hire a defensive coordinator. You expect hires to be made after. We got one in. Once we get the staff in place, I mean, before you know it, it'll be a month or two before, word's getting out at spring practice. And that's exactly what, Canes fans were looking to see. We got the big name quarterback already. Is he going to be competing in spring? Probably not. We know that. So guess where everybody cares about and who's going to be focusing on what? The defensive side of the ball. So getting the defensive back coach, everything was up in the air. We're going to get two guys, a receivers coach, a corners coach and a safeties coach, blah, blah, blah. It came out, our DC is going to be coaching linebackers, blah, blah, blah. So we've been all kind of waiting to see how this staff's going to come apart. So it's nice to see, a major domino fall off.
Mm-hmm. One of many that will continue to move through, just different pieces of the puzzle all coming together. And a guy that a lot of people are excited about. Younger coach has a decent enough background so far. They'll see how he kind of enters into that mix, probably trying to get that career kind of kick-started again, maybe move on to bigger and better things down the road. But a lot to talk about, a lot of good stuff. I see already a question from CF Cane fan. We'll hit that right when we come back from the break. Fresh brought up Chris Ash as Notre Dame's new defensive coordinator. Chris Ash, one of the absolute worst coaches in the history of college football. So I'm sure that will not work out well for Ohio State, or for Notre Dame. But we'll see how these things go. OSU, think of it, OSU, Notre Dame, both seeing huge downgrades now at DC after the losses there. But anyway. But we'll see some more of that stuff. We'll see some other things. We got a lot of good things to talk about. We appreciate you guys tuning in here on 3 Live Canes.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin's free.
Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, but he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big games.
Hard dog. Don't ask me for more. Hell no. Devon Hester up to the races. That's what they needed.
That's Ricks going up for Thorpe, and it's intercepted near midfield. Sean Taylor's got another one.
Who else?
Now, normally when we have people talk about, ask us questions directly, it usually goes 97% Steve-O, and then a question that follows. Occasionally people feel bad, throw Bill a question. But rarely does the question come directly to me, and I think that's because people just expect me to just talk and say stuff anyway. But I got a direct question from CF Cane fan from me, so you guys can relax. Here, I'll just mute you guys both real quick. But Chris, I'm sure the show is packed full this week, and I'm wondering, you think Devon Hester should be the next person in the Ring of Honor? Next person? I mean, he should be in, right? He should be in. Impact he had on Miami in the game. He represented that era really well. Obviously doesn't have a national title, but I don't think that necessarily precludes him from being there as far as, a contributing player. But definitely a guy whose greatness at the college level and then eventually the NFL level puts him in that rare class of dude. So, I mean, I think he should be there. Next guy, we'll see how that all shakes out. There's other guys that could mix in, but a guy that should absolutely be there. You guys have any thoughts? Nah, you're still muted, Steve. Hold on, let me get you unmuted there.
You took the bait, Steve-O.
I got you, Steve.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, but it's easy to say what I think about Devon Hester. When you're the greatest ever at a position, I mean, what's the Hall of Fame made for? I mean, what are we talking about? You know, if you're the greatest ever to do what you did, that's what the Hall of Fame is for. You know, for the NFL's greatest players. So I don't think the one thing I think he has on his side that other people who that really should be first ballots get in, you know, a ring of honor and stuff like that. But it's just like he has the wow factor. You know, when he made plays, it was exciting to a point where that 4 or 5 seconds, you know, with him returning that thing, even 6, 7, was as exhilarating and electrifying as, you know, anybody can remember. So I think it's easier for him to, you know, get awards like that, because anytime you bring up his name to a fan, he's probably a fan favorite because they remember that electric feeling. They remember that feeling, whether they're in the Orange Bowl, whether they're just at the house, or whether it was he's already in the NFL, you're just watching the Chicago Bears game, or, you know, wherever other team he's played for. So it's just, yeah, those type of things will come.
And a name lives on forever, dude, because it's, you know, talking to kids or whatever, like it's easy enough to show them. Like, hey, you know Devon Hester, let me show you Devon Hester. And you have some of his absolute best, most like electric plays. You know, like you said, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. You show them a highlight tape that goes 2 minutes, and you've seen 20 plays that are, you know, some of the most impressive athletic feats you'll see in a college football game too. So it's a great point. But Bill, thoughts on it real quick?
I mean, he's, you know, such a unique talent, right? You know, we haven't really seen anything close to him. You know, since he graduated, you know, good to great, you know, receivers, running backs, you know, players come and go, but he was, you know, truly different for, you know, how he changed the game essentially, right? Even, you know, on the pro level. So makes sense to me.
Yep. Now here is this question directed at Steve-O, so I'll sit this one out for a minute. But Anthony Manzano asked specifically, like, do you think our top target is a receiver? He's kind of big dreaming, hoping that Ryan Williams hits the portal or someone from Oregon. Steve, I don't know if anybody.
There's you know, people saying Carnell Tate, you know, might hit the portal. You know, Oregon's what's his name, Shamar Stewart might hit the portal. Things like that. So you hear it, you know, in the back channels and the waves, and I do think there's going to be a big fish target for the, you know, for moving forward. It's hard to say who it's going to be. No one's going to know until that next portal window opens up. I mean, there's going to be so much speculation about which guy's going here, which guy's going there, this guy's going here. I don't think JJ's entering the portal, just in case somebody was thinking about it or was going to type it or something. I don't think so. If he does, I don't know where he would go. I just don't think that's happening from anything I've heard. I don't think that's happening, but you could get like somebody with Carnell Tate that enters the portal. I would go all at him. But hey, you never really know. People are saying Ryan Williams. I don't think so. I think he's doing just fine at Alabama, from what I've heard. But I'm vibing. There's going to be more receivers in the spring portal. If you guys remember, we got Sam Brown last year in the spring window. That's really kind of where, you know, those guys get the most value when, you know, you went through spring practice and you ain't have no juice at receiver. And now this guy's trying to slap you for another 50, 60, 75K. And now you're just looking back at your tape, going back at all these balls hitting the ground. You're just like, call him up. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So there's no better time to be a portal receiver than in spring. Because if you go through, if you go through the spring practice window, 15 organized practices, and that coach knows in the back of his head, front of his head, side of his head, hey, I don't have a guy. I don't have a guy. That means you're going to probably overpay a little bit.
Right.
So definitely look forward to that. And it works a lot better when you have a quarterback like Carson Beck, who people have seen play in big games, seen the stats. They can Google it. They can do this, but they watched it with themselves.
And it kind of works out too with
J-Rock.
with Beck not being there, it actually does kind of make sense. Beck not going to be there for spring, so you don't need a guy to come in for spring. With oh my God, I got to work with the quarterback. It's not as imperative as it would be in other situations. So, that timing is going to be something that would develop over the spring anyway. So, not the end of the world. Sorry, Steve, I cut you off there. You were saying something else?
No, we good.
Bill, anyone in particular in your head, or like just what type of profile of a guy you'd be looking for?
I mean, I think it's probably tough to speculate. Obviously, if Ryan Williams enters the portal, that's target number one. Back up the Brinks trucks, but that number one receiver spot is pretty much the only hole, I guess, on offense, right? The offensive line's there. We got the quarterback. We got running backs. You brought in CJ Daniels, probably your number two. Slot probably still needs to work out. You have JoJo, in the mix there as well. So that that's going to probably be the big money position in the spring, and then maybe some other depth pieces around the roster. But Javari Flowers would be a very, very nice pickup for this recruiting class.
So Winky's cousin.
Yeah, right? He plays on a very, very good 7-on-7 team. 3 years since his freshman year. Yeah, that's J-Rock.
South Florida Express.
Funny.
I think that was like the first time people got legitimately mad.
Nah.
I was like, if he yelled at Coach B back all over again, but so they let him go have it.
Nah, J-Rock is raw fan. Yeah, I've talked to him personally. I'm sorry, I would never really tell y'all what he say personally, but from just being well, not y'all, I'll tell y'all off camera, but I honestly think that we're doing a really good job there, to be honest with you, and we're just not bringing in a defensive back coach, but Coach Cristobal's been leading the charge there. So I think there's several recruits you get each class that you hear the whispers. Coach Cristobal's the one leading. And the next thing you know, the list is like 25. Like, how is he leading on all these guys? He doesn't sleep. But yeah, I think he uses a lot of that cafecito to keep up with Flowers.
We'll take another guy like those athletes you want to get, especially a Team Raw guy with some history there, family-wise too. So, and one way to get those guys is to make sure you show some improvements in that defensive backfield. I mean, certainly got a lot of dudes that are just joining up, new guys, new faces you're going to see out there on the roster, but also got a new coach to match up with them. Zach Etheridge, who was most recently over at Houston, decided to, I think he just got a promotion up to at Houston, but he decided to still take his talents down to South Beach and take our job at defensive backfield. Just first impressions of Etheridge. I know he's a guy that's had an interesting history so far. He was a player at Auburn. He did well when he was coaching in Auburn. Went over to Houston. I know that he's related to the head coach there. I think it's father-in-law is what I read somewhere. So there's some relationship there to get him to Houston. But now he's had an opportunity to at the grandest stage over with Miami at the DB position. Bill, thoughts on Etheridge?
Yeah, I mean, he's super highly regarded. Even non-Miami people refer to him as one of the better DB coaches in the country. But you just look at his history at Auburn, and even the short time he was at Houston. Clear track record of development. And when you look at what we have and what we brought in, that's exactly what we need. Xavier Lucas, OJ Frederick, Ethan O'Connor, Carnley, all those guys got multiple years left. So he works his magic with them. That's a lot of raw talent, right to work with, and he's put guys in the draft. I think the kid that he coached at Houston, I think he was all Big 10. Oh, I'm sorry, all Big 12 as a DB. So it's all there. But judging from the reaction of others outside of that Miami bubble, Auburn didn't want to lose him when he went to Houston. I know caught up in whatever else was going on over there, and obviously Houston thought very highly of him that they just gave him a promotion last week. So on paper, seems like a home run type hire.
Evo, thoughts on getting Etheridge here?
I mean, I everybody was looking at, they have a pretty good pass defense, and pass defense. When you have certain leagues like the Big 12 that definitely just the quarterback's throwing it 35 times a game. So it definitely means a little bit more to have a good consistent pass defense. But my thing is they tackled well in space. That's the only thing I care about. Tackle in space. We just fill that room with 5 transfers that are pretty, good. They've done it at the college level. You get Damari back full health. You get OJ back second year. The secondary, you get a guy like Xavier Lucas, a freshman All-American. You get a redshirt freshman All-American from Washington State. And now you're sitting here thinking, okay, I have all the pieces. Let's put it together. But what's the common denominator? They have to run and tackle. So as long as they do that, I think the DB talent, there's too much DB talent for not to show them through. Will the defensive line this year maybe take a step forward and maybe get into sacks and maybe causing more turnovers? That was the one thing I missed last year. I was expecting more turnovers caused by the defensive line, whether it's them strip sacking, fumble, or just getting bad throws off at quarterbacks. I think, if we could pick that up, this defensive back could perform very well. It remains to be seen, is he going to come in here and develop these guys into NFL draft picks? I think that also depends on winning, because when you stop winning, your draft stock goes down. It's a thing like that with Michael Jackson. He was one of the top corners in the country in 2017. We was booty in 2018, and his draft stock fell out. Still a 10-year NFL veteran. So obviously the talent was there. It's just, hey, when you stop winning and you're on a bad team, sometimes your draft stock plungers.
Right. Fair. And now getting a guy like this with, we'll see what happens with the draft stock and all that, but at least, continue to bring talent in as best as possible. Now the question about role, like, is it defined specifically, especially with how the defense has run in the past, where it's going to be just like, is it going to be defensive backs as a whole? Are we going to split it again and have corners and safeties? I don't know if we know that specifically yet. Mario kind of plays that one more close to the vest, especially with how we've had different spots split on the defense in the past. But I know Anthony Manzano was asking a question a little bit, a couple different times about just in terms of preference and how you would do it. And Steve, I'll go to you first on this one. His question about, do you think it makes more sense to have someone coach both positions as far as like a lead dog type coach and then maybe split something else? But what would your thoughts be? Does it make sense to leave them together to make sure that there's a better meshing there? Because I know last year we did have some issues with, seemed like communication problems in between defense, the secondary and the linebackers and all that. Or any thoughts of that being a hindrance to a defense?
I don't know. I mean, that's just how it was for me. I was up the side of the ball, but that's just how it was. There was one DB coach, and I just think that's just how it should be. I don't think you should. If you're coaching, defensive backs at this level, there's no way you could just be like, oh, he can only coach corners. I mean, I just don't think so. I really don't. I like how there's one voice in the DB room, like, Coach Adai. Obviously, he's a great defensive back coach. There's no debate. Canes fans can say what they want about some of his recruiting or, whatever they want to say. But the bottom line is he got guys to NFL, and the NFL ended up saying, hey, let's come. You come here with us. So I think I like that. You have a couple alpha dogs who've made their name doing it. But I think with today's new age of recruiting and everything, you need a younger, hungry guy like this. So I really do like the hire. And he kind of fits the trajectory and the path that, other coaches had. Like, our defensive coordinator was just Big Ten. He was in a big school. He's coached at Auburn. He's coached at this big. And they've been at big schools before. So it's just, we'll see how it meshes together. But I always prefer one single DB coach over two, because you had, like you said, communication issues and stuff. And Coach Guidry brought his guy in. I mean, he was at Marshall with him for like 2 years. I mean, so for that type of whatever the fall off was, I'm not going to – they're both gone. They're both landing on their feet, so it's no point of, just bashing them, but it's just baffling how it didn't work. So there's going to be no miscommunication or, he said this, he said that, when it's only coming from one person.
And I think one thing to keep in mind, too, is, with the real change about, essentially like analysts, coaching on the field as well. We're going to have assistant coaches probably for, at least each position. You may not hear about their names or anything like that, but it's not like it's just one guy that's going to be, coaching each room or each position group. So, at least in my mind, I think the communication aspect, we'd be better off having one DB coach. That makes sense to me, which leaves you another position coach to make, essentially be like a D tackle coach, or, if Hetherman wants to bring in a individual linebacker coach, even though, he typically handles linebackers. So I think there's some questions to be answered, but I think, in terms of just Etheridge, whether he's just corners or safeties or he has the whole room, either way, it's a great hire on paper from everything that we know so far.
Any thoughts on how you'd fill that out? Like in terms of like, what would your preference be, Bill, if we're planning out a defense in terms of just like, okay, I need a coach for this. And with you still have Jason Taylor, that's the one guy that stuck around, and he's your edge guy. So
knowing what we have right now, I would just go get some monster, just DT coach that can recruit, maybe some SEC type guy, and Jason Taylor's gonna have a say, right, on D line, but to me that makes sense. Typically a D coordinator will coach their position group, so that eliminates the linebacker coach. I like the single voice, regarding the communication on the back end. So that just leaves go get someone that can hit the road recruiting and bring in those war daddies in the middle.
Reasonable. Steve, what do you think? Same kind of thought process?
I mean, I really am caring more about, can you freaking turn these monsters into NFL first round draft picks inside? That's all I really care about. I think Jason Taylor and NIL, Canes Connection, is going to do everything we need to recruit. Can you be the best? Can you make our defensive line the best defensive line in the ACC? That's all I care about. Is he a great recruiter? I just don't F it up. Let Coach Mario, let D Train, let the Canes Connection, let all that work, and just say, hey, when you come here, we're gonna bully people, and I'm gonna show you how. That's cool with me. I don't care for the big name. Think about how much big name defensive line coaches there are out there. There's not that much of them, bro. Get you one that's just gonna come in and help you produce. Produce. Because at the end of the day, there's been times where we need to stop the run and we can't stop the run. So we got to get somebody in there who can stop the run. It's very simple. Sometimes, you can get over analytical and you're just searching for such an advanced solution. I have so simplified what I want to see from the Miami Hurricanes. Run and tackle and stop the run. That's fine. That's it, literally, because to the basic fundamentals of football, we couldn't do last year. So stripping it down, that's all I want. And if the defensive line coach could help in that regard, then sign him. If he can't, leave him where the heck he at.
Let's think about our defense now as a whole, just before we move on. But I saw some people criticizing, because I forget what it was, but someone came out with another ranking about national offense based upon whatever analytical things they did, but offensive ranking, overall ranking, defensive ranking, and our offensive ranking was number 1 nationally, and our defensive ranking was somewhere in the toilet. So what are we thinking about as far as what do we need? Because obviously we're taking a step back on offense because you're losing a guy arguably had the best offensive season or one of the best offensive seasons in the history of the program. But where can we settle in on offense where you feel like we'll still be able to replicate or improve on the years? If we fall down to number 15, 20 on offense, but our defense goes from 642 to 40, is that still going to put us in a position where we could do what we want to do and make it to the playoff? Bill, I'll go to you first because I know you like numbers and stuff.
So a top 40 defense and a top 30 offense.
We'll go top 20.
We have a top 25 defense this year.
It depends on what metric you're looking at.
Right? Isn't that what they were saying? We had a top 25 defense.
Man,
well,
it's scary thing about numbers.
instead of saying, I
Not the
guess, using,
scoreboard.
the numbers, right? If we have a good offense with an above average defense, we should win the ACC, or at least be in the ACC championship game. That's how I'm looking at it. But I think we'll see a pretty dramatic increase or improvement on the defensive side. But that, completely changes, the offense too. We don't necessarily have to be, playing a certain way or playing from behind, or, having that pressure of having to score a touchdown every single drive. Because if you don't, you're going to lose 42-40 or whatever. So complimentary football. But I think we'll see a dramatic improvement on the defensive side based on, what we've done in the portal, coaching changes. I think that's just going to elevate everything, and maybe all that talent that went to waste last year, reemerges and really makes an impact this year.
It makes sense. Steve, what do you think? Can we do all the things we need to do if we're sitting like top 20, top 40D? Or is it already better?
I mean, really, I don't.
Or
really
are your
think
expectations
top
higher? What do you
this,
think?
Top that. I mean, we got to get the job done. I think we should be explosive on offense. I think we have an offensive coordinator that there's no way in hell there's anybody telling him what to do. I think this is what we do. Carson Beck didn't really have a running game. He was the only. Imagine if he had freaking what's the other guy's name? The 25-year-old quarterback, the walk-on quarterback. What was his name again? From Georgia, the one who started right before Carson Beck.
Oh, Stetson Bennett?
Yeah, if Carson Beck had the running game at Georgia that Bennett had, oh my God, he would have won like 3 national championships in his career. I think we're going to give Carson Beck the best running game of his career, which is crazy because he just came from the University of Georgia. But hey, times have changed, bro. Georgia cannot run the football, against top quality competition, even mid quality competition. To be real with you. So I think we're going to give him the best running game of his career, which was just what we gave Cam Ward. And guess what happened? Cam Ward came out with the best season ever in his career because guess what? We gave him a running game. He could hand the ball off to Mark Fletcher. He can hand the ball off to Damian Martinez. He hand the ball off to Jordan Lyle, true freshman. So I think that's really going to be the difference when it comes to this offense. So I expect nothing but fireworks, bro. I'm sorry. I mean, is it going to be the number one offense in America again? That's hard to replicate back to back. But why can't we be top 5? Why can't we be top 10? At least top 5 and top 10 in really, really important categories, third down conversions, red zones, stuff like that. We need to be, top tier. So the defense, just run and tackle, bro. I don't care what they rate us, bro. Just run and tackle. Literally, as a defensive, as a Hurricanes fan, I've never seen something as poor as the defense. We put not even in Mark D'Onofrio. We were running. We were mad at D'Onofrio because we were so far back and we had to run up and tackle. At least we ran up and tackled though. That's the thing. Everybody, we all remember the hating Mark D'Onofrio in this defense, but at least they tackled, bro. That's the difference.
Just 20 yards downfield, but they got him.
Yeah, but they got him.
10 yards into the end zone.
What year was it?
Locker room already, but we got him.
When Georgia
what
Tech
was his
was
name? What was his name? Eddie. Was the linebacker? We booted him out. Or 44.
Eddie Johnson.
Was it Eddie Johnson?
44.
Yeah. Was it Eddie? What was his name? He was part of we kicked out 5 linebackers in the span of 3 seasons.
He ended up at Utah, right?
Yeah. No, that's Johnny Paul. But Johnny Paul was good too.
Didn't he go to Georgia Tech or something like that?
I was gonna put it was it 2014? I don't know.
But I was thinking
Eddie Johnson. You're right. It is Eddie Johnson. Yeah. All right, but all those dudes. I remember all those dudes lined up in 6 yards deep in the end zone. But that run play was about
against Georgia Tech on the goal line. Yeah, that was one of the worst screenshots in football history.
Yeah, not what you want, but. So I mean, obviously, better times ahead probably with that, and we'll see how it goes. But a lot of really good, a lot of good dudes now, a lot of talent on this defense. Let's make sure we don't blow this thing again. And speaking of guys not messing with their opportunities, just real quick hit on some things because I love the NFL draft. I'll sit there and watch the one-on-ones that they post. like on YouTube accounts. Like it's basically the equivalent of looking at all the spring practice like highlight tapes. But I'll sit there and watch the one-on-ones, like one after the other. And I'll say those one-on-ones, those receiver cornerback one-on-ones, Steve, I don't think there's a whole ton necessarily that replicates with like this is how the actual game is played. But you know who's looked great in those one-on-ones?
Yeah, Elijah Arroyo.
Wild. Dominant.
Yeah.
Strepo, dominant. But over in the Shrine game one-on-ones too. Jacoby George looks like he's on playing a totally different game than some of those Shrine Bowl DBs, because he looks like he knows how to play receiver. He knows how to get open, and those guys have not been anywhere near him so far in practice.
Yeah, that's like real game stuff. Like you've literally seen 11-on-11 Jacoby George abuse defensive backs, literally, whether the ball was able to get to them or not at some points of his career. Yo, come on, bro. We've seen it. Arroyo, you're seeing a lot more route running stuff from him. He's been able to do things like that. He's hit double moves. He's done stuff in his career. He's hit the post corners. He's done stuff. He's definitely come through every time he goes like man coverage against a linebacker. You've seen him use that second level avoidance that you saw in the practice for Senior Bowl. I'm not surprised at all. People are surprised, like, oh my God, this guy's so fast. We've known it for a while. He's fast. He's fully healthy and recovered from that injury. As a Canes fan, that was one of those players, oh man, when this guy gets back, people get hired of like hearing it. But no matter what the consensus was, Canes fans, we all knew, hey, when this guy gets back, there's no way he's not going to be good. I mean, he's just naturally talented. I think the world of Arroyo. I'm so happy for him. Tight end hopefully he turns into a high draft pick. I see him as sneaking in, and high, maybe second day pick, maybe first day pick. If he can just continue to ascend in the combine, he might light it up, man. These people might fall in love with him at the combine. That's what I'm hoping for. But I think he should, carry on tight end well in the NFL. I mean, he's a baller.
I think if you're going like each one, and like we'll get close to the draft, talk about it more, but like to me, Arroyo, like there's only one tight end he can't jump over, and that's the dude from Penn State. But I don't think there's any reason why he can't be up as high as the second best tight end in the whole like class. Yeah. Which means potentially in that early day 2, maybe sneak in end of day 1 if his time like what are his times going to be? Like he could run better than Warren can. He's going to run better than all the other dudes are.
Yeah, so. He could legit go out there and run a 4.5 flat, 4.51, or like a 4.48. And then guess what them people are going to do, bro? They're going to,
Especially those playoff teams at the back of the first round that are like, whoa, we can get this guy?
Yeah, Kansas City.
Jesus, Kansas City? No.
Yeah, Buffalo. Any contender that's like, hey, I mean, they got Kincaid, but any contender that's saying, hey, we might be able to just sneak this guy in to catch passes from, I think he could run a 4.48, man. I mean, he's clocked at 21.5 or 21.9 miles an hour. It's crazy. I mean, I think he could literally clock a sub 4.5. And if he does that, I mean, just people looking at this size, bro. I mean, I get it. Like we see him every day, or not every day, but he's been a Canes fan in our program for 4 years. But to just people who haven't seen him, just imagine you just walking up and seeing a guy that big just moving like that. Like it don't look natural. Like, it's not something that you just see every day. Yeah. And you always throw out these, Canes fans, and just fans in general, we throw out generational, we throw out this. Let's be real. The last time that we saw that big and that athletic that was at Miami was like Njoku.
Yeah. I agree. He's like the last one that fits that mold of, and another guy that as soon as he got to the league,
pop.
Yeah.
I feel like this Warrior was the type of the prospect that like every fan of every team is like gonna want. Like doesn't matter. Whether in the first round, second round, like I want the Jags to draft him. Like that'd be great. You grab him in the top of the second round,
or if it's the Jags, they'll probably take him on top of the first, just because of what the hell.
Whatever.
Could be worse. Could be worse. But if I had him, I would go right now like early 2, because I know some people were asking Elridge. He said Eldridge Prime is like what round to see George going in. Like this very second, I would say probably like 5. Then we'll see what he runs, and if he runs really good, and then he like a lot of other guys aren't running there, then maybe he goes to 4. Like, but I would say in that range.
I'd say 5 to 7. Yeah, he's still under like 170 pounds. Yeah, there's things on tape that people aren't gonna like as well. So that
and
may
like
drop
like as long as he's like all the stuff checks out, and I think, but I'm gonna say 5 is I think where I'd feel good about it right now, because there's like it's like a deep class of a lot of like dudes that did some stuff, but we'll see.
But yeah,
Arroyo, purple and black. He definitely would have caught that pass.
Like as a Jags fan, if you gave me Arroyo at the top of round 2 and Jalen Rivers at the top of round 3, I'd be ecstatic.
And that's the other dude, Jalen Rivers. How about Jalen Rivers after, guard tackle, bouncing back and forth his whole career, showing up 6'5", second longest arms of anyone at the Senior Bowl, only behind that ridiculous guy from Alabama A&M that showed up out of nowhere, like full on like water boy coming out of the middle of no school in the middle of nowhere. But really, Jalen Rivers has been probably the best offensive lineman at the entire Senior Bowl. So another dude. I mean, guys get coached up. Guys getting coached up. And it's working out. As you have him, and then next year, like Maui Noah, going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. So it's working out.
Yeah, I think that cross training that we've heard about Coach Cristobal and Coach Mirabal and their system and how they get guys, we've seen it. McCoy, Matthew McCoy, he's been a tackle here in his career here, and then he just popped out at left guard. People didn't know how he was going to look, and he's been a monster. He was a monster at guard. So this cross training, you've seen, Jalen Rivers be a backup center. You've seen him go. Now J-Rock is 2026. But you see, people go and, make this type of noise about it. The cross training definitely works. I mean, you've had multiple guys, play different positions. We've had Jalen Rivers at left guard and then Markel Bell at left tackle. We've had, he's done this throughout his entire career. He started off at right guard. He's played some left tackle. He's played some left guard. He's played some right tackle. He's been our emergency center. All this cross training that we've heard throughout the career has definitely benefited him, because, I mean, Canes fans could say it, but, for NFL draft executives, NFL teams to just go there and see it and be like, hey, this guy, maybe he might not be our future left tackle, because for some reason, people think he can't play left tackle in the league. I think he can, but he could probably, right now, I think all 32 teams think, hey, this guy might really be able to play left guard, right guard, and center for me. This guy could be a very, very valuable piece on that 53-man roster, because he could play different positions if somebody goes down, or if we got to tweak, or we got to go there. And if anything, we could put him at tackle. He's proven he could do it. I think that he just raised his draft stock. Out of Elijah Arroyo, Jalen Rivers has by far raised his draft stock the most out of the Canes.
Yeah,
for sure. And real quick, Jalen Rivers was the only offensive lineman that played tackle, guard, and center all this week in different reps. So, like, cross training works out. But Bill, you're gonna point to like what just popped up in the chat. I don't know if you saw that, but the Crib 305 just said J-Rock just reclassified. So I searched it up, and then sure enough, 12 minutes ago, apparently it popped up that he is reclassifying to the class of 2025.
Oh, that's lit.
So
I didn't know that was coming.
That's
Let me hop on the internet here and check it out. I know he was a big time name for next cycle.
He'll be big.
That means we'll get him in the summer, right? Or
Yeah, he didn't commit to Miami, but if he reclassed to 2025, yeah, I would like our chances.
I'll take it. I like it.
Hey, another big time DB.
3 other SEC schools that probably would say they like that too. That they think that they're in it, which I know some are, but I don't know. I feel like he could very much be in this class if he's in 2025. I think the options are a lot smaller, not smaller, but focused on very certain schools, and I think UM's towards the top, if not the top of that. I ain't know he was reclassifying coming up. I haven't really talked to him about that. Just talk about track, and then we had our first tournament the other day. But I don't really like to. J-Rock is Javari Flowers.
Javari Flowers from Northwestern.
Yeah, fast as hell. I mean, when we first got him, not when we first got him, but his freshman year, playing with a bunch of 4 and 5 stars around him. I mean, he has Ellis Robinson next to him, and Ellis. I forgot who it was that we switched. I'm not going to say his name. Actually, I just remembered, but I'm not going to throw him out there. But 4 visits seems about right because there's about 4 schools I can think on the top of my head. So that seems about right. But yeah, he was. You have Ellis Robinson saying, "Hey, don't put that other kid next to me. I need him." And J-Rock's 15 years old. That just tells you everything, his trajectory. And I think every step of the way he's gotten better. People's like, oh, he got track speed because he runs a sub 10.500. But he's more than just that.
So I mean, this is very intriguing to pop up here all of a sudden. But I mean, you got to imagine, decisions are going to be coming pretty relatively quick. We'll see how it goes there. It gets, like you said, visits in the spring, but wants to be there by summer. Like, when would he have to be decided by? I guess by
rules don't matter.
Yeah,
no. But this has always been a thing, though. You can enroll into a school, in July. Like, remember Connerly, who went to Oregon, was a very, very similar thing. In spring, y'all remember Connerly? This is completely fine. Like, you don't have to sign by early signing period or even traditional signing day in February. But it's just, kind of like a weirder situation. Doesn't happen that much. But it's entirely possible, and there's nothing you have to worry about when it comes to, school and enrolling because all these schools offer so much summer classes, fall, they're good.
Yeah, and to talk about KC3's point about a lot more skipping years or reclassifying, that money talks. You get
that's what it is.
Program early, nutrition, weight, strength and conditioning, all that kind of stuff. And you're probably going to get a full 5 years at some point, right? That 4-game red shirt is probably going away. So, and if you're that good, you're not staying all 5 years anyway. So, it's all good.
Fair enough. But hey, very interesting to see how that goes in the near future. So another thing to look at. I know there was a question before, like guys you're looking at for the spring, and like who else could? I mean, hey, it's about as good of a number as you're going to get there. So before we head out of here, the last other really big piece of information that came out this week that was solid was the release of the 2025 schedule. So we'll just throw it up here on the thing and talk about it for a minute. We're not going to do the whole win-loss thing as much as we enjoy doing it. We're not quite ready for all that wild and ridiculous positivity. We'll get to that in a minute or two, but we'll get maybe like a month.
It's my time to shine.
Yeah, it's when Bill really hits his stride. But just take a look over at it and see what we can make of it. Anything interesting that you guys saw that you said, it's funny that they did this or whatever it might be. But first impressions when you guys saw the schedule pop up, or anything that you guys like, maybe this is an interesting way to do this. This is an interesting thing. I know my first thing was, how they have Florida State bookended by bye weeks was interesting. And then we go on a run where we don't have any sort of bye weeks all the way up through the ACC championship game, which was like, all right. I mean, no off days from October 17th to December 6th was a lot.
Bye weeks are obviously dumb. I like getting it like either before or after Florida State, but not both. We only have 4 away games, which is great. One of them's at Florida State too, so we only have to leave the state of Florida 3 times. But thing that kind of drew my attention is the level of quarterbacks we're going to be facing this year. So Notre Dame's going to roll out someone at least solid, right? Whether it's CJ Carr or Steve Angiuli, the Italian from New Jersey. You got DJ Lagway on the schedule. You have Miller Moss, Jennings at SMU, Eli Holston at Pitt, CJ Bailey, NC State. So there's like Kyron Jones again, right, at Virginia Tech. So I think we're definitely going to see a bigger or a much tougher road in terms of, quarterbacks faced. And I don't remember at what point last year I started talking warning about the Syracuse game. But that Pitt game that's got bad news written all over.
I mean, the end of season game in Pittsburgh. It says literally what it's always been for us. It's always that outside cold weather.
The Black Friday game.
And the way the ACC set up now, you probably aren't going to be clinched a spot in the ACC championship game before that last week. So it's I'm already that's my big warning game.
Well, I mean, not playing Clemson until the ACC title game is always going to be an advantage to making it to that point. Getting Notre Dame early with a new quarterback and probably for the first time in a long time, not a transfer portal guy, just someone that they're going to roll in there is getting their first real time to be a starter. Better, I think, as they try to figure out and it's a Chris Ash defense. Not worried at all about that. So we should be able to put up some points on them to open up the season.
Yeah, I think we should be able to put some. Oh yeah, I think Ohio State let their foot off the gas. I think they could have put up more points if they were more aggressive. Come out there and play man coverage versus us, and let's roll. And this scheme, I mean, I think we'll be just fine. Bethune, love it. Bring the kids out. Everybody enjoy it. I think that's a game where every Optimist Park should be getting tickets. If we're not selling out that thing, which I hope we sell tickets, but somebody gotta, get these kids in there, watch some fun brand of football. USF, nice to be at home. That'll be a good one. I got 2 over there, so I'll be nice to see them, cheer them on. And then, hopefully they make a play or two, but it's because it's in garbage time. But Florida coming in, that's classic. They haven't been here since 2013. Tracy Howard had the 2 interception game. Herb Waters toe tap. Denzel Perriman with the fumble that just popped straight to heaven and came back down. That's going to be a big one. That's worth the season ticket prices already. I like the schedule, to be honest with you, and I think this gives us the mix. I hate the play one hard game and 3 cupcakes. That we kind of start off with sometimes, or 4 cupcakes, then a hard game. I like that first off the bat. Notre Dame. Let's make the mistakes quick. Let's get them over with. Let's get them corrected. Let's find a way to win when we don't play our best. But then Cookman, we know what that is. No disrespect. USF can't take them light. They're going to come in there and try to, make an upset. But it is a, higher level of competition than obviously Bethune. And then boom, Florida. I think I like that. I think we'll be more battle tested when we go to Florida State. We've already played 2, bigger games. USF, I think that rolls. I'm curious. I've never seen Stanford before, so it's cool that they're coming. I'll see them. That I'm very excited for the SMU game. To be honest with you, that could be TBD time, depending on his recovery. It could be TBD time. So I'm very, very interested. And then obviously we don't really have much away game, so it's nice to see Syracuse at home. Obviously because of how that ended last year. But I like the schedule. I think it's a little bit harder than last year's schedule, which I like. Because sometimes you just got to go through the gauntlet and you got to lock in and just go through. Because look at Ohio State, they lost 1 or 2 games and they made it going through. They were battle tested. So I don't think we could afford to lose 2 games. Definitely not like a Michigan stinker at the end and get in the ACC.
Right.
But I like that we're, make the schedule as hard as possible because, hey, let's not just be happy making it to the playoffs, bro. Let's go out there and try to win.
Yeah, and difficult schedule, but potentially a team that if you played at one side of the ball as bad as you could, and you still won a good amount of football games. Now, opportunity to make that better schedule, sure, but also with, you'd imagine a more complete team to go up against it. So, I would say that ACC championship game is still very much on the menu. When you bring a kid like Carson Beck to play quarterback, that's the idea. That's very much the plan, I should say, more than the idea. So, But interesting schedule, ending in Blacksburg and then heading up to Pitt in back-to-back weeks. That's something. But again, not something that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I mean, Virginia Tech lost a lot in the portal. That could, Brent Pry could be, out or on the flaming hot seat at that point. But I don't know how cold it'll be, at that point. But the Pitt game is the big one, right? And our Doozy coach team, they're going to be tough on defense. They have a quarterback. And some random ACC team is going to be, coming out of nowhere, right? Competing for ACC championship. Think about like what SMU did this year. Pitt could be, one of those teams that just, I don't know what their schedule looks like, but they may be 6-1 in conference or, going into that last week too. So ACC is always a mess.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, how it all shakes out with it. But it's, gonna be a fun one. And see how this thing plays. But that'll do it for us. We appreciate you guys coming out here on Wednesday night to talk some Miami football. Got some breaking news on the show for the first time in, I don't know when. When was the last time we had like something break while we were talking?
Highsmith? Was the GM?
Might have been, right? Has it been that long?
We haven't had much luck the last.
Wednesday night's been kind of a dead spot. Maybe they know. Maybe they're like, oh, we don't want to interrupt the show.
That's probably it.
Probably what it is. Steve, I noticed you went knit hat today for the show.
What
went into that? What went into that decision making?
It's been cold in South Florida, so I've been able to get away with watching it. It's been in the 50s, 40s.
Ooh, my God. Like you went to New York for like 10 minutes and you brought the cold weather back down with you.
Yeah, it's been chilly over here for a minute. It's been nice. It's been beautiful, to be honest with you.
Some real like football weather down there.
Yeah, it's been perfect. Nice sessions at the park. Not sweating, but the sun's out. It's crazy. Well, you're sweating, but not like how it usually is when it's or freaking 80, 90 degrees outside.
No part of that. But anyway, that'll do it for us here. Bill, I noticed you went with the same stuff you always wear.
Very much. Consistency is the key to championships.
Look at that. And they passed over you for that defensive coordinator spot, Bill. We'll never know why.
Maybe I could be that D tackle coach bringing those war daddies in the middle.
Steve, would you hire Bill if you had to hire Bill for a position coach job, Steve? What position would you hire Bill for?
I don't know. No. I've low key had this thought before. So I'm sorry, Bill, but I'm not trusting you with my DBs. I'm thinking linebacker. Like you look like you could coach some linebackers. I'll get you in there, get the run gaps in there, and I'll get the DBs.
Yeah, so I'm very cerebral. Thank you, Steve-O.
Yeah, man. Bro, yeah, it's see ball, get their drop steps, get their read steps, you know what I'm saying? And indicators, and we roll, Bill. We roll.
That's right.
All right, Steve, how about me? What am I gonna get? Kickers.
You have a role on the team. We're going staff. I mean,
that's not bad.
Assistant to the director of player.
Yeah, like you got to be. I don't know.
I mean, I think if it was like 10 years ago, I would have been a great bad guy. I feel like I would have been like as good of a bad guy as you're gonna get.
Nah. Bad guys back then, they had a different aura to them.
Oh, like more negative.
Bad guys back then, they had a different aura, man. I'm talking about, McDonald's bags, like different aura back then. I don't know. Maybe nowadays, yeah, you could be a bag man, but back then had a little bit more game to it, had a little bit more swag to it.
Hydration assistant. That's worse,
crazy.
Right?
Don't size my dog. I want to call you historian, because why would we need a historian?
Oh, I could be that.
You could give the tours with Coach Rump and be like, hey, this year, yeah, there's a place for you, fam.
I mean, I could be Joe Zagacki. I could be PA, like play-by-play guy. I could do that.
Yeah. Any option, the floor is yours. Go ahead. And we got analysts. We got a spot for you. So
honestly, if I was like school president, and I was just like sit down, give the big speeches about the school and all that. But reality, all I cared about was winning the national championship. I think that would be a fit.
Yeah, that'd be a fit.
giving like speeches and stuff. And
Oh,
I'm like, hey, give all the money to football.
90% failure rate, but we won.
Yeah, that's all right. Go to all the booster meetings and stuff. Eat all the free food. I think I can handle that.
It ain't free. Somebody paying for it.
Not me. Canes connection. But which means all of them, which is good. It works for us. Anyway, but no, thank you very much, guys. We appreciate you. That's not bad. The trophy guy. School historian sounds pretty good. I like that. But that'll do it for us here on the show. We appreciate you guys tuning in on Wednesday night. Before we get out of here, Bill, final thoughts for the people.
Final thoughts. We missed last show due to some illness, but throughout that week or that weekend was the Xavier Lucas drama saga. Myself, Chris was getting into the action too, just battling Wisconsin fans for like 72 hours straight. It's been almost 2 weeks now. That story's essentially dead, right? ESPN's not talking about it. They took it off their front page. The thing that once the Big Ten put out their statement, Wisconsin fans kind of got all jacked up thinking that something was actually going to happen. And we stood in the paint, told them, LOL, no, it's not going to happen. No lawsuits, no nothing. So, we're here 2 weeks out. And to mark the 2-week anniversary on Friday, I'm going to start harassing the Wisconsin fans again.
That broke. One of the things that we talked about on off air that he was already enrolled at Miami. And then the news dropped. So that's why we were hinting hard that, that's why we were so surprised. It was like, oh my God, another week of this. And I was like, yeah, don't tell nobody. But I think, the portal's not a real thing. Like, you can't just, there's no like, this is not like, what do we call it? Like, virtual reality, like a world, like you don't go through a portal to put your name in. Like, you could de-enroll in a school and enrolled in a school of your choosing. Like, you are an American citizen. Like, you could go to school where you want to go to school, bro. So it's just as Canes fans, this was a crazy saga. Like, it was a crazy saga. It's finally over. May there be some noise. Somebody's going to try to put some flame on it and try to keep the story alive at some point. Of course, it'll probably be brought up when the Big Ten and other conferences that are now doing like revenue share deals. It's probably going to be like a staple for what their contracts have moving forward. But nothing's going to happen with Lucas, bro. Like, kids maybe later on, they're probably going to change the verbiage in the contracts for sure. You know what I'm saying? It's probably going to be, hey, you got to wait 2 years or whatever the verbiage is going to be. But the Xavier Lucas stuff is done. Knicks won another. I had Brunson over 7.5 assists, banged it. Knicks, we've been on a tear lately. But the Lucas stuff, it's over. The portal, the what everybody has in their mind, it does not exist. You could just literally de-enroll from a school and go enroll from a school. Show your ID, your social, in your transcripts, and I think you're fine. And that's what happened.
This be. I mean, there's a lot of really great old things on there for old Steve, comments from Steve-O, but. And one of my favorite things has got to be you could go to whatever school you want. You're an American citizen. That's Steve-O declaring it. No, you are an American citizen. You go the hell where you want to go to school. They can't stop you.
It don't matter who you voted for. You can go.
Any school, you're good. F Wisconsin. They can't keep you from it. Oh, yeah, but Xavier Lucas in Miami destroying the transfer portal once and for all.
Just pop the bubble.
I do wait for the day when it's all of a sudden a kid just because now there's going to be another kid that within the next couple of weeks that's probably hey, I'm transferring too. And then they're going to be no, you can't. And then he's going to be well, what if I sue you? And then they're going to be all right, never mind, you're good.
No, you're on the right track. The next thing is entering the portal at whenever they want. That's the next step because, hey, what's to stop you? What do you mean? Oh, I have to wait till this window, or I didn't go in this window. I'm going to de-enroll from my school. I'm going to go re-enroll in another school. That's the very next domino that's going to fall. I think they'll be able to keep it away from you can't obviously transfer to another school in season. But it's pretty much these windows are the very next, and I think the windows are what's holding things together. To be honest with you, and this decision, this whole Lucas thing, while it benefits Miami, that it definitely puts that rule in jeopardy. Because again, they're American citizens, dog. They could just de-enroll from the school and go re-enroll into another school.
Put that in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the land of the free, where you can go where the hell you want.
Yeah, so that's the next domino, but we'll get there when we get there. That's why the Big Ten trying to fight it, because once that happens, it's over, bro. Like, let's be real. You can have an argument with the coach or something, and then next thing you know, you're out of there, and coaches think it's safe. Like, we made it past the transfer window. Next thing you know, hey, where's Damian? Oh, he's on a flight. He's going to Alabama. He just de-enrolled. He's walking on with a $550,000 NIL deal and tuition $10.
You're gonna have your bursar's office or whatever the hell where you enroll for classes. They're gonna have on speed dial. Is Damian still here?
Yeah.
Did Damian go to calc?
Yeah, it's gonna be like last chance you with the lady walking the kids to class.
Yeah.
You got to make sure the kids still attending.
Man was gonna have choppers waiting in the parking lot. Hey, you can come over
here. Yeah, bro. Come jump in this Hellcat.
Yeah, we bought your books for you already. You're good.
Yeah.
Head on down. Oh, but can't wait to see it because we're already on the road there. So what the hell? Finish it off. But that'll do it for us.
They need to get the conference revenue sharing sorted out, and unfortunately, the ACC's revenue sharing isn't really that good to start divvying up to players directly. So we'll be taking a back seat in that conversation. Basically, we'll just be waiting to see what happens with the SEC and Big Ten.
Yeah. Which they can blow the whole thing up whenever they feel like it anyway. So. We'll see. But that'll do it for us here on a Wednesday night talking Miami Hurricanes football with you guys. Pretty good week. Got some nice positive additions. Got some things to talk about. Got some guys, showing out at the All-Star games for college, hopefully putting themselves in position to increase their draft stock. All good for these former, forever, but at the same time, former Canes. A lot of good stuff for us. And we all got the Jahvari Flowers news that he's going to be in the class of 2025 and potentially another great asset, another great addition for the defensive backfield for Miami. So pretty good week. Thank you guys for tuning in to watch us. Don't forget, go to Canes Connection, and all the donations there help us to bring in some of these talented players. I mean, especially now, right? You want J-Rock? Well, Canes Connection, head on over there. Oh, it's exciting that he's in the class of 2025. Then if you close your computer and don't do anything, and you haven't helped us at all, you just being all excited about it isn't going to get any players to head over to Miami. So let's do some stuff about it. Look at Bill. Look, he's donating right now. Look at those eyes of a man that's putting money on the table. Steve-O just won a bet about the Knicks. He's going to turn some of that Knicks money into J-Rock money. Right, Steve-O?
He wants some McDonald's or some Wendy's. I got him. We on the road to Vegas in a week or two.
Hilariously, that's probably a violation.
Well, I mean, no, it's not it's more of just a coach to play. But I would not be. I'm gonna be depending on y'all to go ahead and drop that Canes Connection. I'll be handling the behind the scenes stuff when I'm like when we pass. Let me get a biggie bag, Steve. I mean, that's where I have to step up.
Now, if it were Tennessee, you're talking about McDonald's bags, and obviously we're having a whole different conversation.
Nah, we're not talking about. I don't run McDonald's like that. Them boys, you want which one you want? Or you want the 4 for $4? I'm quick. Which one you want? You want the nuggets with salt? I'm knowing. It's yeah.
Use the app, Steve-O? Use the McDonald's app?
Nah, I don't know. We don't really do. We do Nick Low, Wendy's, where I get the just like me, the plain bacon junior cheeseburger. We got it. I know,
Steve-O, you got to use the McDonald's app. Free stuff for nothing.
Yeah, free stuff is gonna kill you. I don't like fast food much. I don't eat McDonald's much at all, to be honest with you. But yeah, they love that McDonald's. I'll tell Duaso to get it. Yeah, he probably on the app. That's probably what them Jets always get McDonald's, to be real with you.
That was point. He's
Yeah.
all kinds of McDonald's stuff. Said
Yeah, them just be getting McDonald's, pizza, Raising Cane's. I'm pretty sure you guys know. He's good with raw. Anytime there's Raising Cane's in the area, we've been fine. So we've done well. But yeah, they love that. They love that biggie bag.
That makes sense. I understand it. I get it. But anyway, that'll officially really actually do it for us here on a Wednesday night. So we thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys jumping into chat, being so active as always. Great to get that interaction going and answer your questions, all that kind of stuff. It's a long off season, so this is the time to ask all these questions and also it's time to start being really excited because you never know how things are going to shake out. We'll do that win, loss, win months in the future, along with our all-time Canes draft, which we've been planning for the last 6 years. But for Bill and Steve-O, I am Chris. Thank you guys for tuning in to watch the show. We will see you again next week right here on 3 Live Canes. Have a good night.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin's free. Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, but he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big game.